Okay, so hello, my name is A.G.Billig, and I'm happy to be here today with you for a new self-publishing mastery talk. And today it is, of course, another special one because we have with us K.G. Waters, a best-selling author, a renowned podcaster, an award-winning blogger, a consultant. Oh, and she wears so many hats. So welcome, K.G. Waters.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Happy to have here with us. You already wrote a guest blog post for self-publishing mastery about writing a book series, and we are going to talk about this today. But first of all, I want to know, how is your new book doing?
My new book that I just happen to have here, Shattering Time, is doing really well. I'm extremely excited to get this out. After a year or more of writing it and editing it and all those things, it's just such a relief to get it out there. And when I put it up for pre-sale, it made it to number 29 that next day on Amazon. So I was so excited, and it's doing really well. I'm trying to get it to number 1, and that seems to be, it's just hard to do that. So I'm working hard on that right now. And it's the post-public, the month or two after you first put a book out, I thought it was busy getting it ready to publish, but now I'm in that mode of just trying to get everything done. But it's done really well. And last week I put up my short story for free, because in the back of my short story, it's called Blow. It has an excerpt from this new book. So I thought, and then links and everything. So I thought my goal was pretty much just to push people to that. I put it up at noon on Monday, a morning on Monday, and by noon it was number 1, and it has been number 1 on the USA Amazon in 2 or 3 categories since then. So I'm like, oh, I didn't even expect that to happen, but
yeah, that's amazing.
So things are going really well. It's just better than expected.
Oh, happy for you. But things were very well for you in the past too, because the first book in the series was a bestseller, right? So
yeah, that went to number 1 as well. And it's just, you never know what to expect, especially when you're indie. I think I've talked to people that are in every area of that spectrum, from never seen before or after to bestseller. So it's exciting. It's an exciting market right now. There's so much going on and so many new things that are coming down the pike. So it's exciting.
Yeah, that's true. And I know most of our viewers and us authors in general, we are also avid readers. So I'd like to start by talking a little bit about your series and telling to our viewers what's going on. I know it is like great series of books, so yeah, I'd like to know more about it.
Okay, good. Okay, well, the very first book in this series is called Stealing Time, and it's a time travel. Yeah, she's got this beautiful clock back there, which I've already commented on. It's time travel, and what I did is I mixed up something that happened to me. That I moved to Florida, and 3 days early hit. So that's the premise behind that book. And in that summer, there were 4 major hurricanes to hit Florida, and so I have a book for each of those hurricanes.
Wow.
The first hurricane, Hurricane Charlie, and that's Stealing Time. Mm-hmm. So during the hurricane, Ronnie Andrews goes to her boyfriend's weather lab, and she doesn't know it, but he's trying out a time travel device. And so she goes back to 1752 London, and she's a modern woman. She's very independent and speaks her mind, and that gets into a lot of trouble with people in 1752. So she ends up, they think she's a witch, and so now she's trying to save her life. There's a trial, and a water trial, and a court trial, and all these things. So she's trying to figure out, how did she get there? How does she get back? And in the meantime, how does she stay alive long enough to figure all these things out? So that's Stealing Time. The next book in the series is the one I just released, Shattering Time. And that is it happens as soon as Stealing Time ends. It's the beginning. She just comes back from 1752 London, and she doesn't really know if it was real or did she imagine it? Was it a dream? And it was such a strong experience that she's pretty sure it was real. But her boyfriend's like, nah, you sound like you're crazy. where does this come from? Time travel? Come on. Well, he's the one who did it. So the reader's already mad at that guy, of course, Jeffrey Brennan. And so the next story is, she's weighing that, is there something going on with her mental health? And then unexpectedly, Hurricane Francis comes, and Hurricane Francis was the size of Texas. It was a huge storm. It covered the entire state of Florida. So no matter where you were, you're going to be hit by it. And so she's caught trying to leave Florida, and Jeffrey, her boyfriend, kind of manipulates her a little bit into staying. And so now she's like, am I going to travel again? Well, of course she does. And this time he experiments on her in several different time periods, ending up in 1588 North Carolina, which is one of the very first colonies of what is now the Americas, but essentially it was English settlers that had come, and it's the mystery of the lost colony of Roanoke Island, and that is one of America's first mysteries. We still don't know what happened to those people, so I have set Ronnie in that exciting moment, and there's Native American issues, and there's a lot of the English settlers with the skirmishes with the Native Americans, and she gets captured by some of the Native Americans and has to, weave her way through that world, and also trying to figure out how to come home and all that other stuff. So it was a lot of fun to write and research. And the next book in the series is called Killing Time. I hope to have that in a year, and the adventure continues. So I have each story has a distinct plot that starts and ends during that time, but there's an underlying theme that goes through all the books, where these little mysteries that are twisted in and that carry through to the next book. So
wonderful. So they would make like a great summer read, and they are on my list, definitely.
Good. I hope you enjoy them.
Yeah, I will, and I will leave a review, because I know how important reviews are for us authors.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for writing these amazing books. I'd like to know, why did you choose to take the self-publishing route?
Okay, that's a very good question. When I first started writing, it was about 10 years ago, and I was terrified. I'm like, I don't know how to do the publishing thing. And 10 years ago, think about that, it was totally different.
Yeah.
So I just didn't. I kept writing. I thought, well, when I get to that point, I will worry about it. And I'm glad I did that, because any worry would have been pointless, because things have changed so much. So when I first was getting close to having a book ready, I got online and started talking to some authors, and I met one named Kirkus McGowan, and he was pretty big in the indie world back then, and gave me some really great advice. And part of it was an impatience, because I also sat down with a publisher and I said, hey, what's the process? And his advice was, it takes a year to 2 years for them to get back to you. And I'm like, I finished this book. It took me 10 years. I really didn't want to wait 2 more years. He says the other option is to put it up, on Amazon, and then you can get a publisher after that if you want, or just see how that goes. So I thought, well, what do I have to lose? So I went that route, and I'm really happy I did. I have friends who've gone both ways, and friends that started indie and got picked up, and vice versa. People that were published with a mainstream publisher and then went indie. So it's been really interesting to see everyone's journey, and everyone's is completely different. So, I would say that if a big publisher came to me, I would definitely, talk to them and see. My biggest problem is, all the promotions and trying to get it out to a bigger market. So I would look at that, but I'm definitely not interested in the little tiny publishers that, charge you $1,800 to publish.
I feel the same.
Yeah.
Because our viewers are also aspiring authors, or beginners. How did you learn to master this self-publishing process? That's not so complicated, but it takes time and patience to do it.
It really does. And that was kind of my motivator too. It's like, I can pay someone to do this for me. And not having earned any money yet on the books, it's kind of hard to swallow that pill.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty technologically inclined, and I'm a brave soul. So I thought, again, what do I have to lose? Let me try this. So I've learned a lot, and now I do consulting for authors that are in the beginning mode, where they don't know what to do, because there's a lot of mistakes and pitfalls that you can make, and I feel like I'm not super advanced, like the Rachel Thompsons of the world. But I've done enough, I can put it on CreateSpace. I know the marketing world, all those things, so that I feel like I can offer. And I've had some really great clients, great relationships with people to, help them get away. Most of them were Tate Publishing, and Tate has just gone under, and they're kind of a crooked operation. So, I feel so bad that they were kind of suckered into this, if you pay us $8,000, you can get published scenario, and you can do it for free. I've spent a lot of time connecting with some people. I do also do a podcast called Blondie and the
Yeah.
Brit. And that has been a really great way to connect with some authors. By the time you've interviewed them, I mean, as we're doing now, by the time you're done talking to them for an hour, you feel like they're your best friend, and you just have a different kind of bond with them. So we've made a lot of really good connections. I do that with Suzanne Kelman, who started off as an indie author, and then she got picked up by Amazon's one of their arms, and now she's like that. She knows the good parts of both worlds.
Yeah.
So it's good to have those two perspectives on the podcast. So
Yeah. It's great working with someone to hold your hand and help you through the process if you're a beginner, especially if you don't have like a marketing and PR background as KJ does and as I do. But there are a lot of free resources out there you can check, and your podcast is still, I mean, people can still listen to the episodes of the podcast.
Yep, we've got 82 episodes. You can find us on iTunes, Blondie and the Brit, or on Podbean, which is just you can get from your internet or from your phone. So it's on there too.
We have to talk another time about podcasting because I love it too, and how authors can leverage it either as guests or either as like podcasters like you are. But for now, getting back to your wonderful books. I'd like to know, how did you choose the category? So when you wrote a book, because I know that's a little bit of a struggle for some authors. I was talking to an author today and he was saying, "Oh, I'm not sure my book is in the right category." So what's the best way to do it?
Well, when I put my first book up, it was the end of 2015, and I didn't know what I was doing. The nice thing about it is that you can change it, right? So what you can do also is, I did a little bit of research. I looked into, what my books were, and you also want to look at how many books are in each of the categories. You want to try to find one category that doesn't have a huge amount of books in it, because it's easier to get up to number one. Your ranking will be better in that category. So there's a little nuance to it. Of course, it has to fit what the book is about, because you don't want to disappoint people who are looking for something in that category. But the cool thing is that you can change that. So you can do a little study, have a month your book at one category, maybe just switch one of them to just see how your sales are in that next category. Like for Blow, I have Blow up for free just this week, and it went to number one right away. One of the categories that I went to number one in two categories. The third category, I got to number two, and is at number two like all week. Now it's at number 4. But I'm looking at that category, and I don't know how it got put in there. I think Amazon adds that third category, and it's just like general literature and fiction. I'm like, well, why am I in that category? So if I go to do it free again, I'm going to try to switch that category, something a little bit more specific to what I'm doing, because there's so many books in that category, and people may not find mine appealing in that giant category, or just maybe not find it. So there is a nuance to it, and I think there's a lot of good information out there. Do you have anything on your site that talks about choosing your genres?
Not really. That's something I would need to add on Self-Publishing Mastery. We have other information. We have book blogs recommendation, podcast recommendation, Facebook groups, interviews with experts, so success stories, guest post articles, and many other resources, and even books on self-publishing. So, but that's important.
So what I did is Google. The other thing I got to say about categories, as I was looking for the categories for the new book I just put up, slightly different than my other one, because it does have that Native American element. But as I was looking for it, there's an article that I searched that talks about, which categories have the least number of books in it. So as I'm looking through there, I see science, which is not what I write. But my son, who's going to be a senior this year, I was like, what you could do to help you get into college is write a book, and here's a category that doesn't have a lot of books in it. He's like, I could do that. I'm like, you might get to number one, you may not, but you could be ranked somewhere. And then you have a book. This is the one thing that sets you apart from your peers.
Mm-hmm.
Of those kids have a published book, right? And possibly number one. So, there's a nuance to that too, that maybe when you're about to write a book, go see what the categories look like, which ones don't have a lot of representation, and use that to your advantage. Mm-hmm. Of course you have to write fiction that people want to read. I mean, I don't know how many people want to read science, but that's what my son does. He's number one in the state for physics, and that's kind of
congratulations. Wow, that's great.
He's yeah. I didn't mean to turn this into mom bragging about it.
No, it's fine.
It's another way to use the categories to your advantage. So
yeah, definitely. So you have a series. You have 2 books. Should the categories should be the same for both books? I think.
Well, I have an overlap. The time travel, romantic suspense is the overlap. Both books are in that category. The stealing time, which I happen to have here, is not Native American. So I don't have it set up that way. What I do, I can't remember the categories I have, but there's one that overlaps. And then I have my short story is crime, mystery, suspense, and thriller. So it's different. I mean, you kind of have to match the book to what's in the content of it. But I like the fact that my 2 main in the series have the overlapping, the time travel, romantic suspense. So I think there's a way to, carries the series through. People that like that category will keep seeing it in that same category.
And the favorite question of people in the industry: are you a plotter or a pantser?
Oh, we asked them on the podcast too. I love this question because so many times we find that people change, right? So when I first started, I didn't know what I was doing. I just wrote. So I was definitely a pantser. And I think in life in general, I'm a pantser for most things. But after I finished that book, what I did is I wrote a giant book, which is now 4 books when I first started. And I was like, it really used to be cut up. So I really had the whole thing, which is nice for weaving all the pieces together. In the second book, I realized that I was so much faster and had a much tighter, more suspenseful feeling in my first draft if I knew what each chapter was. Now, what happens, and you probably have this too, is that as you're writing, your characters come in and they're like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go here and do this, and we're going off on this tangent. And so you have to kind of repair it as you go, which I think is really exciting. But to have the structure, so I like the word Suzanne and I came up with is plumper. I'm kind of a mixture. Okay. But I would definitely say that I'm merging away from pantser into more of a plotter. And so my third book, I've already got a lot, I've got the whole thing plotted out. So now I just have to go in and write the chapters, and then we'll see what my characters do. I mean, I'm sure they'll sabotage me, but that's okay. I like that too. I like that element of surprise. And, I think for me, the way my books are is I have a lot of layers woven in there. And the fact that it took me 10 years to write all that, I had a lot of time to put in. I write the first draft, and then I go back in and I'm like, oh, let's do this twisty thing. And then that will lead to the first book and to the third book and then the fourth book, stuff that the reader doesn't know until they get there. And then they're like, oh my gosh, how did she do that? So I would definitely say that, like, the very last draft I do, my intuition comes in and it makes all these new connections that I hadn't seen the first couple of times. So it's a lot of fun. I love it.
Yeah, definitely it is, and it sounds like fun. So yeah, I'm working on a book series as well. I didn't plan it as a book series in the first place, but then I changed my mind and I said, yeah, it could be like one book set in California, another book set in Dublin, and the third book set in Thailand. So
that's great. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I learned too, is when I was figuring out how to break up, I had this one long book. Settings is really important, to have a distinct setting for each book, and that gives you newness and freshness while keeping the same characters. So you're bringing some of the things that people are familiar with and love, but you're giving them fresh, situations and new places to look at and that kind of thing. So that's exciting. What's the name of your series? Do you have a name yet?
Well, actually, the working title is My Life on Tinder.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a romance. I'd say it's more like a love story, women's fiction. But I'll see how it
Yeah,
will.
yeah. We'll see what your characters do.
Yeah, yeah. But so far, you're like the expert here in writing series. So you already have two best-selling books under your belt. And from your experience, what would be like the best practices in writing a book series and actually managing to getting the book out, getting it done, and putting it up on Amazon?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so that's a really good question. There's two separate elements. One of them is how to write a compelling series. And I just did a blog post for you. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
that, by the way.
great
So you
one.
can go look at it on her site that, just has like 5 tips.
Mhm.
One of the things that I did, and this is when I first started writing, I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I got the Marshall Plan by Evan Marshall. It's just how to write fiction. And
Mhm.
so that, to me, that was a really good resource. And one of the things it did is the very beginning is you do a bio on each character. And I even found pictures of each person. I went to like a Sears catalog or something where they had the same model in several different poses and different angles and different clothes. So I cut all those out, and then I created like, here's their background. Where's their family from? Where's their dad from? What are the jobs of the parents? Where did they grow up? What was their biggest weakness? What is their biggest strength? And it's annoying, like I'm a person that just wants to jump in and do it, but I am so glad I did that, because now as I've gone through the series, the characters are consistent. I've built on their character, but I didn't have to make new things up about where they came from. So as I'm writing, I already have that established, and I don't switch it. It's pretty firm. Now that I've written the second book, these people are their voices are so much in my head. I can just sit down and write somebody. So I don't really have to go back to that very often. But to me, it was just a really good way of getting to know the characters. And what you don't want to do is throw all that in the book, because people don't want all that detail. What you do is you weave it into how they react, what they say, maybe one little line of, he made his money in the .com business and things like that, where it's there, the reader gets the nuance, but they don't need to have like, here's the daily dump of, 20 pages of research I did to set up the character. Nobody wants all that, especially at the beginning of the book. So it gives you a way to, just know who they are. So if you're starting a series and the characters are coming through. Now I've added new characters to, the second book. The third book will have a few new characters as well. So you have to kind of do that again for the new people. But it's well worth it, because now I feel like I know them so well. I mean, I made them up. I should, but by the time you get to the point where you're in book 2, book 3, that's what people really like about the series, is because they're familiar with them. They don't have to learn a new character and know their motivations, and you want to make sure they're consistent throughout the different books.
Okay, that's a great tip. So working on the characters and then making sure that you're consistent probably in your plot and the actions, and there are no things that
Yeah.
are supposed to be in there.
Yeah. You just don't want to like make a mistake and have him, have this job and then he switches to another job, or his dog's name changes,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then to your second point, the second thing that I found really helpful, and this is what I got from Suzanne Kalman, my podcast
Mhm.
partner, is that, okay, so when I decide I'm close enough to getting to, maybe I know I have about, a year to go before I publish a book or less,
Okay.
I have this huge calendar of each month. And so I write down what my goals are, and they can shift, but it's like a write on wipe off. So if I need to like, didn't miss that, it didn't make that deadline, I'll do another one. But then you plot it out. And so you have, okay, on March 1st, I'm going to finish my first draft.
Mhm. Mhm.
How do I get to that March 1st deadline? I need to do, and that's say I need 80,000 words, and you break it down. And so each week I need to do 5,000 words. And so it just keeps you on track. If you get behind, it's okay. It's not like it's set in stone, but it really keeps the momentum up. If like, I met my goal this week, yay. Or if I'm behind, I need to double it up. And so then you have these smaller goals that build into a whole process. And then in that, you have a date, it goes to your editor, and then you plan out what you're doing while it's at the editor. You have your, you start a blog tour, and you start making contacts with people that can help you promote it in free sites. So there's all the things that you do, and the times that are kind of a little bit of break from writing the story. So I'm not a super structured person, and so that does not come naturally to me. But Suzanne had me do that with a podcast, and now she sits down with me. She's kind of like my little coach. Okay, she's got the organized brain. Let's put down these dates. I'm like, how long does it take? And now, once you do your second or third book, you kind of have a sense of how long these things take. The first book, you're like, how long does it take you to write a book? No idea. So, but you get a little bit more experience, and then you can kind of pace yourself and make sure that you're including all the little pieces. Maybe the first book you didn't realize how long it would take to get the Create Space formatting right. So you really should add 2 weeks instead of a day. I thought I could just upload it, and then you're behind. So to kind of build in some of those cushions for yourself. And it really helps. I mean, it keeps you on track. And then, when your editor, ends up not being able to do it, then you can readjust and still kind of meet that next deadline. So,
let's talk about promotion. How is this different for a book series compared to a standalone book?
Well, I think there's 2 things about that. One is that the first time I had a single book that wasn't a series, because I only had 1 book to sell. But now I'm juggling. I have a short story and 2 books. So when you go to promote, there's ways that you can build on this thing. So I've had Blow for Free with the free excerpt about Shattering Time in the back of the book. So it's like you're pushing people to buy the second book. So I've had Stealing Time. It's been 99 cents. So it's the same thing. Like you read the first book and then you're, trying to push them towards my second book. And so now I'm coming up with other strategies along those lines to kind of get the momentum going towards that second book of the series. And then, at some point you can put your first book perma-free and have people, that read that for free. Then of course they're going to want to go into the next one. If you got 3 books up, you do first book free, second book 99 cents, third book, full price, so that they're building into it. There's a lot of strategies that you can leverage now that you have other books. Plus you've got income on the other ones. You can't just have 1 book free. If you only have 1 book and it's for free, what are you building towards? It's okay to do that occasionally, but they have a little bit more of a strategy. So my other goals are to get it on audiobook and all this.
I wanted to ask you about that audiobook, because I know it's a small market, but it's growing. So it's
just one more product, then you make that one free and they build into this, so it's endless. But in terms of promotions, I think it's shifting a lot. And I don't know if it's just me that I figured something out I didn't know.
Okay.
People have been telling me for years, email list, email list, email list. And I would always snore. I'm like, just the thought of having to come up with something to email people terrified me. But I did it. I took the leap this year, and it has been the biggest marketing ploy I have. So every time I put a newsletter out, I'll have a Goodreads giveaway, or I'll give, when my book was free, my sales spike. My numbers go way up. And so what I've been doing, and my other strategy is I have on Twitter, I use Hootsuite and Buffer. Hootsuite schedules your posts. So I have once an hour, here's a link to my book, here's a teaser, here's a whatever. And then the half hours I do content. I want people to come to my site that are enjoying time travel, historical fiction, all the things that you want your readers. So articles, for women because it's romance, for people that are interested in science, for the time travel element. So it's just content that my readers would like. So I use that as one whole strategy. And that I have a constant stream coming to me. And something I won a prize in a contest that gave me something called Genius Links. Are you familiar with that?
I heard about it.
I'm blown away by this. Now it's $99 a month for a year that I won. So it's expensive, but for me right now it's free. I'm setting up a link for each of my books in these different ways. So right now I have one, like when I did your guest blog, I have a link that says guest blog. So I can see how many people have gone to that link. And I can see I have one for social media. And so I can measure if I pay an ad for someone, how many times did people go to that? So I'm really getting a lot of information about what works the most. And of course, my biggest number on those links right now is social media. So it may not give me a lot of clicks per tweet, but it is definitely building my base. People are going there, they're going to my blog, they're going to my book links to buy them. So I feel like, that's like your step one is to have a solid platform for your social media. So that's Twitter and Facebook are my two biggest, but I'm on Pinterest and Instagram. I kind of do a smattering of things there, but mostly Twitter. I mean, Twitter has, you can have a lot of volume on Twitter and not annoy people. So that's why I have that, that big strategy built in, and I use Hootsuite to schedule it once a week, and it gives me, a good base to send it to my podcast, my blog, my books, etc. So, and then layer on top of that, then is the newsletter. And one of the things that I've been using is Authors Cross Promotion. Are you familiar with them?
Yeah. With the service, I didn't use it, but I'm familiar with pairing up with others and
Yes.
and promoting each other's books. That definitely.
Yes. Well, this is authorsxp.com.
Mm-hmm.
This company helps you build your mailing list.
Okay.
So I went from 20 people on my mailing list when I first started in November. Now I have 4,000. Now I have almost 5,000. And so what they do is they say you give away, you pay them, like, depends on how many people are on the email list, but $35 to $45. You pay them a fee, and then they have a free book giveaway in your genre.
Oh, great.
So you're getting readers that want your genre. These are very targeted.
Okay.
And so the first time I did it, I got 2,200 names, email addresses that wanted to read romantic suspense. So I had to give away 3 of my ebooks, and I paid that fee. But to get this giant group of people who want to read my genre. So when I do my newsletter now, that's who it goes out to, are these people that are very specifically targeted. It's not just people that read. It's not just people on Twitter. A lot of those people don't read. And if they do read, do they like my genre? Who knows? So it's been extremely successful. So when I do a promotion, they do you can also promote just your book. So like a $10 promotion with them goes out to their reading list, and they has cover and links to all your places that your book is, and a little blurb, and my numbers boost every time I do this. So
So what's the
first
name?
What?
What's the name again?
It's called Authors with an S XP.com.
Okay. All right.
And it's amazing. So you can build your list. You can also do your beta readers. So I paid them a fee, and they gave me a bunch of people who wanted to be beta readers. And so they'll put reviews up for your book, or ARC readers, I should say. So they put reviews up on Amazon and stuff for your book. So you give them a copy, and then, hopefully they'll give an honest review. And I'm just trying that service out. I haven't fully gotten all the reviews up there yet, but they have to read a 300-page book, so you got to give them a little time. But
yeah, definitely.
I'm really happy with their service. Amy Basson, I think I'm saying that right, is the one that runs that, and she's doing a phenomenal job. So, and then of course you do the free promotion sites, and but I feel like my strategy has changed dramatically since November when we started doing the newsletter, and I wish I'd listened to people a long time ago. So I would tell new authors, if you're not publishing yet, but you're writing, here's what I want you to do. I want you to get your social media platform growing. Every day go on Twitter, follow 15 people from authors that write like you. So grow your base. Same with Facebook. Put posts out, show them, a couple paragraphs from your book, show them your writing desk, show them things that you're working on, even if your book's not coming out. Because what you're doing is you're building fans. And when you have something to put out, then they all want to come and see what you've done. They've been part of your journey. So I would say that. And also start building your email list. One thing I wish I'd done, I had people on Twitter like, I love your, the concept of your book sounds great. Tell me when it comes out. I wish I'd gone to them and said, can I put you on the mailing list? Because you'll forget that person next year.
Yeah.
If you've got them in your little, Excel sheet email list, they're right there. And those are people that want your book, or at least have expressed interest. It's a different thing to make them buy it, but at least you've got a way to get to them again. So this would be my 2 big pieces of advice that I wish I had completely done. But I did a good job building my social media platform. I got that advice early. So I have a pretty decent platform. I have about 23,000 people on Twitter, and almost I've reached my limit on Facebook, about 5,000. And so, you're constantly trying to make those numbers better. But
yeah, you do. And I'm sure it's growing. So it's going to grow bigger. That's for sure. Yeah.
Exactly.
I wonder, do you get any sales from Twitter? Because I hear many voices saying, now Twitter, you cannot sell on Twitter. It's just for building your network. But I don't think it's true. Hmm.
I told you that the genius links that I have,
Yeah,
and
that's
I
right.
wasn't sure about that too, because I didn't know if it was just, awareness, because they say if you show your product 7 times, then they're more likely to purchase it. So if they only see it once, so
Yeah.
having it repeat on Twitter is a good thing. My genius links, I looked at it last night and I've only had it for 2 weeks. And this is someone clicking on the link to Amazon. And
Hmm.
I've got it for all the countries. This is what Genius Links does too, is that it puts them in their country of origin's Amazon site, which has tremendously increased my sales in other countries. I've had in 2 weeks 4,500 clicks on my social media links. That's Twitter, mostly Twitter, and I have a bunch on Facebook. I don't do it as often on Facebook, but I have people that will actually go click. So yes, I am selling. And before I started the newsletter, and before I started any paid advertising, that's all I was doing is selling on Twitter. Now I'm selling a lot more because I'm doing,
Yeah.
Authors XP and that email and that kind of thing. But yes, you can sell on Twitter. What you have to have is a broad audience. You have to have a lot of people. And your strategy of finding people on Twitter should be to find bloggers, book reviewers, and readers. You don't
Yeah.
want just authors, because authors do buy books. That's true. But you can't just have authors. You've got to have a layer of your group. So you go to, one of the authors that inspired me was Diana Gabaldon. So every so often I'll go onto her Twitter page,
Hmm.
find out who's following her, and I'll just follow a whole bunch of people and keep building on that list, because those people like time travel, historical
Right.
fiction,
Hmm.
suspense, the things that are part of that book. So those are potential readers of my book. So that's one strategy that, if you're focusing your Twitter in that way, you have a much better chance of selling books to those people.
Wow, that's great advice. Thank you so much for sharing it with us.
You're welcome.
I know you also help authors with book covers, and book cover is important. It sells the book. So, what would you recommend for a book series in terms of book covers?
Well, that's a good question. So I've designed my own covers. My company is called Blondie's Custom Book Covers, and I work with a professional photographer, Jody Smyers, and he is amazing in Photoshop. So I don't know. I just hold mine up. I don't mean to just keep throwing my book up there, but
Yeah,
you can see with mine that they're
consider.
similar. The titles are the same. I mean, not the words, but the font.
Yeah,
My name is the same, and then they're both the clocks. There's the hurricane you can see,
yeah,
but they're different. But when you glance at them, they're similar. Now, my short story Blow has the same
yeah.
clock based on it, but it's made out of something besides clock. I don't know if you can tell by the title Blow, maybe what that might be. So I think, you have an opportunity to guide your readers. Like if they look similar, have a similar feel to it, you know, color schemes, the font, the design, they're the same size titles with the graphics. There's a couple other elements that make you look a little harder at it. There's some things that you can do to kind of train your reader to see, when they see that, they're like, hey, that reminds me of KJ Waters' other book, and they're like, that's it. And then when you have them up on Amazon, all three next to each other, people go to your Amazon author page, they're all there. They look really nice together. So you want to think about your color schemes for each book. Do they blend well together? If you're designing one, I'm working on right now for a client, and she's got 2 other books. So she's trying to, keeps looking at the 2 books, trying to pull colors that are similar, have a similar feel to it. So there's a great opportunity to take advantage of that, to have similarities. The other thing I would say about book covers is you want to make sure that you look at it as a thumbnail. A lot of people I know do some of their own covers, or do covers for other people, and they have all these details in it. And when you make it really small, like people see when they're buying it electronically, you can't see their name, you can't see the title. Sometimes you have no idea what the picture is, because there's so much going on in there. So you want to be able to, whatever design you have, look at it small and make sure that it still conveys those things, especially the title of the book and your name. Those are really important. So you want to be careful. It's so easy to get caught up in the beautiful art and the details that you've picked out, but you're losing everything when you go to look at it and you can't even tell what it is. So I would say, just keep that in mind as you're designing. It's hard to do that because it's not how you're looking at your cover. You're looking at it on a computer screen and all that. But when people are buying it, they're on Amazon, they're on Barnes and Noble, and a lot of times it's just a thumbnail that they're scrolling through hundreds of books. You want to catch them. If you got little details, once they pull it up, then they're looking at it even longer. And by then they're like, you need to buy this book and see what this is about. So keep it clean too. You don't want to have too much going on. It can be very unsettling to have too many things. You don't have to explain the entire story. You need to grab their attention and make them look on the book and see what it's about.
And why should they have a print version of the book in the print format, not just an ebook?
Well, if you ever want to do book signings, you can't just go with an ebook. I mean, you have to have the paperback. And I think that's a personal preference. You may feel like it's, intimidating or hard to do or whatever, but Amazon has made it really easy, and so has CreateSpace, to create a book right after you do your ebook. And same with CreateSpace, you can do an ebook from the print. So I don't know, I feel like it just broadens. A lot of people want to hold a physical book.
They still
they do. When I first put out Stealing Time, I didn't have a paperback yet. I waited about 5 or 6 months because I don't know what the heck I was doing. I didn't want to have the pressure trying to do both. So I took the time to, go through all those steps and put it up when I was ready, which is another strategy. Have it layered. Then you have the next thing come out. Everyone buys the ebook first. This time I had both ready at the same time because I really wanted people to have both choices. Plus, you've got more things for people to look at. So if you're sending links out for paperbacks or you're sending links out for ebooks, just gives you more. It looks like you're a little more established and that kind of thing. So there's advantages. But, I get it if you just want to do ebooks. That's certainly an option. There's no cost if you go onto CreateSpace to make your books. When I order my books, and the price has gone down, when I ordered these, I mean, they're really reasonable. Should I tell people what they actually cost? I feel like I might put off some people that are paying full price. But, it's a very reasonable price if you're ordering your own books.
Yes, I know.
And if you're setting it all up, it's free. So I feel like there's low income risk to doing that. If you've already done the editing and the cover and all those things. But when you're doing a book cover, of course, you've got your ebook just the front. When you're doing the book cover, you need to do the spine and the back. There may be a little more cost to put your book cover together, but the rest of it, you've already paid for all that.
Yeah.
You may have to buy one more ISBN number for the paperback. So there's that expense as well, but it's pretty low risk. So I would say, be brave, go for it.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good perfect thought to end our conversation with. Be brave, go for it. I think it's perfectly, and it will inspire authors who are watching this interview to pursue their writing endeavors. Thank you so much for such a great conversation today, KJ.
You're welcome.
And please let us know. I know you're all over the social media, so we can connect with you on Twitter, Facebook, your author blog. So maybe you can tell us some of these channels. Your favorite one, your top 3.
Okay, top 3. My first one would be my website, kjwaters.com, and that I have on the very front page. You can sign up for my newsletter right there. You also have whatever deals I have going right now. I have a book for free. I have a Goodreads giveaway. So everything that's current is right there. You can just click on that front page. I also have excerpts of my, Shattering Time, Stealing Time, and Blow. You can see it. There's buy links right there. So everything you need. Plus I have consulting services. I've got some blogs, all the things. The other thing that I guess I'm on Facebook the most. So KJ Waters Author is my author Facebook page. And then I also have KJ Waters is just me. It gives me a little more flexibility. Twitter, I'm Kamajowa, which I know is but KAMAJOWA is my Twitter handle. And my blog is kjwatersauthor.blogspot.com. So they're all good places to find me, and I hope you look me up.
Yeah, well, you can find the links in this video's description anyway, and click on them and go and see what KJ is doing on her social media channels. Thank you. Have a great summer, and let us know when the 3rd book in the series is coming up, and we'll do another interview.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun to be here with you.